Hi, this message is to all of the Sheriff's Department. Gentlemen, listen, I don't want to brief you too long here, but I want to explain something to you, okay? 1. I am a Hebrew Melchizedek, that is Hebrew 7:17, deacon of the Roman Church, under the total control of the Pope. I am blood oathed into the Jesuits, which are the secret military of the Pope. Now, I don't know who in your whole unit, all the way to Obama, who assumes that you have some kind of authority to illegally aid and abet some females who, under the rule of an ex-banished Marine, Curtis Rice, and James Albert Plank, who is now deceased, and Keith Plank, who I believe was murdered by his wife, you do not have the legal right to sit here and hold the true inheritor and the true heir of my dad, William Joseph Plank, the true born in wedlock. My older brother was born out of wedlock. The true heir hostage until you can figure out how you're going to allow your New York State occult to steal my inheritance even more than it has already been stole. Now, as you should know, I am an 8th Dan in the Wardo martial arts. What does that mean? That means that even though you've incarcerated me many times in the past for the same stupidity things of trying to exalt your own honors and your own names under bullcrap, okay, I've never retaliated, because Jesus always says turn thy cheek, you know. But I could easily go and get on my knees in front of my Asian masters, and the fact that I am a true full-fledged member of the Third Reich of Germany. Believe me, my German kin doesn't take any shit from anyone. I could easily make them come to my aid, and all of them flood in here, step over your Marines, and capture the sheriff who is illegally doing this disgraceful crap to me. I will assure you that when I find out which one of you it is, you're going to answer to the justice of the Pope. Believe me. Secondly, never in my life have I ever asked a penny from my dad, James Theodore, who is a handicapped Vietnam veteran, who beat women, who was never loyal to his wives, was disgraceful in all his ways when it came to women, but he was a hard, honest worker. That man used to beat the living shit out of me if I didn't cut wood for him and work like his freaking slave up on top of his hill, and I never seen a penny of that while I was playing football. So, I love my dad as far as I'm supposed to, but being in Jesus Christ and knowing that Jesus is my true father changes the way I think. And the way I think is, it is forbidden for a priest, which is me, to honor any man who has committed adultery numerously. I was once married when I was younger illegally by a justice of a peace. A judge has no legal right to marry anyone. A judge only has judging powers. They do not hold priestly powers unless the judge is an ordained priest or minister and a judge. Has to be both in order to be legal in God. Now, for all you males that are too small-minded to understand that, that's not my problem. But if and when I find out who it is that is behind this attempt to disgrace my hard-earned freedom and my hard-earned honor and my very hard-earned educational background, I came up out of the freaking bellows of your disgraceful United States government, which is an occult, which is the Antichrist, which was founded in 1734, which is Martin Luther's Lutheran army, which was banished by the Pope. Do you realize you gentlemen are serving the Antichrist? Do you realize that? No, you wouldn't understand that because you went to criminal justice. You didn't go to theology seminary college for many years. And this government has to render itself to the Pope in order to be in good standing with Jesus. So, I just want you gentlemen to know, you males are awful lucky that I am the way I am. Your guns, your badges, your disgraceful ways, your so-called tough guy, that doesn't impress me at all. There ain't a single one of you that last 5 minutes with me. What's the point? The point is, I'm a royal, and you're a common and a poor. And you're trying to crush my honor, you're trying to disgrace my name, and I don't appreciate it. I do know this. Sooner or later, all the countries that are wrapped around you, United States, are going to see what I see, and when they do, they're going to come in here and completely annihilate all you males because you're a disgrace. Adolf Hitler, they taught me the true truth. When Martin Luther was banished, he trained many men under him, but they couldn't even read or write, people. Hello? Duh. And they built a serious army. And they fled to this country and they butchered my Native American ancestors, which were Hebrews, which was seriously wrong. And they established this occult business. It's not a government. You're only a business. And most people are starting not to want to do business with you. Anyway, you assume that you have the rights to do as you please to anyone you want by making up some cockamamie statement or some cockamamie lie. Let me tell you gentlemen something. I arrested Marcia Rice for stealing my inheritance. Part of it was my dad's medical money. Part of it was my inheritance. I don't care what you males think or what your opinions are. None of you held any church right or legal right to decide who gets what in the house of plank. We're royals. You peons don't have that right. If you were in Germany, you'd all been lined up and shot and Adolf Hitlered to death for this treason. But because you're not, you're taking advantage. Do you understand? Hitler was told by the Pope to go forth and kill the witches of the world. Do you know that every one of you cops are a warlock? Do you know that? And do you know why? Because if you serve the U.S. government, and if the government is not in submission to the Pope, which it's not, then you are a treasonist to the Church of Jesus Christ. And a treasonist is a warlock, a witch. You're a male that will not subject himself to the elders of the faith, 1 Timothy 5:1. Titus 2:2, 1 Peter 2:2, Romans 13:1 through 8. And since that is, Hitler was summoned to go forth and completely annihilate the males, the witches of the world. He annihilated the Jews mostly because of what when they mocked Christ on the cross, they doubted that he was the Son of God. And he told them, you're going to be punished. And he wasn't lying. They were punished by fire. Terrible fire. God's opinion of what you think about bodies stacked miraculously in fire doesn't matter to God. God can make that being like Nazareth come out of a cave and be born again anytime He wants. But that was the anger and wrath that Jesus promised. Now, I promise you men this. All of you that do not subject yourselves to the Pope, in due time, the power of God, the Spirit of God will pay you a visit. That Spirit of God will break your body down. It will break your body down until you are utterly destroyed. Deuteronomy chapter 28, 15 through 63. All you Roman Catholic brothers that have sworn oath to serve this occult are treasonous against the Pope, unless you are in subject to the Pope while in service, loving thy enemy and doing good unto him. My doctrines of theology and biblical studies is exhaustive beyond measure. I can talk and teach with the greatest minds of the church in the history of our world. I broke both my shoulders and fractured my spine, Forest Bend County, so that your children, which, needless to say, many of them are born out of wedlock, which are bastards, which is a disgrace to the church, it's a disgrace to God. I sacrificed my life so that you could get Haveling High School could get a larger portion of grant money to build a better school and a better educational environment for your seed, your children. And you, every chance you get, you grab up one cockamamie story and want to run with it to destroy the athlete who laid down his life for your scummish, nasty, AIDS-infested, disease-infested, cursed village of Bath. It's a disgrace. There are a few great men in Steuben. There was a minister who stuck a sign down by the library at the at the point. It's stuck in the ground. He says, "I curse this land, a cesspool of iniquity." It's a cesspool because none of you will listen or obey God or the church. And you think that if you go to criminal justice for 2 years... Gentlemen, do you think your 2-year criminal justice can match up to 20 years of theology and seminary? Do you understand? You will probably, I can guarantee you, not get into heaven for this treason against me. I arrested Curtis Rice and Marcia. I tried to arrest my grandfather, but he was threatening my life. Marcia was threatening my life every time I tried to come onto my father's property. There is an 8-inch bone missing out of my dad's hip, gentlemen. My father summoned me to his house, and I went to his home. He said, "Billy, I need help. I hurt," because he can hardly talk. I said, "Dad, what do you want me to do? Want me to sue for you?" He says, "Yeah." The VA messed up, gave him a staph infection. The infection went so bad they had to remove the hip they put in and messed him all up. And he is entitled to that money. Chelsea Watches, a criminal felon judge, which is a next to kin, distant family member, has been aiding and abetting this criminal activity for quite some time. He looked me in my face and told me my father didn't own anything. It's not true. My father is the appointed God-given ruler of that property, and it is being handed down to the next rightful heir, which is me, not Marcia, not James Sr. And after my dad told me, I tried to get those lawyer papers. Marcia came in the house. That's the day I knew that my aunt was a Judas and was a betrayer and a criminal. That was the day my investigation began. She said, "What the hell are you doing in here, William?" I said, "Well, my dad summoned me here and found out his freaking hip's all messed up and needs my help. I'm going to help him." She got on the phone and called my grandfather. My grandfather drove right up, got in my face, and said, "You stay the fuck out of our business and get lost, or You're going to be sorry. And I said, really? I don't know what's going on here, but I'm going to find out. So the first place anybody would go when you're dealing with a Vietnam veteran is the U.S. Army. I went to Staff Sergeant William Ernest. William Ernest did me a favor. William Ernest used to date my sister. He said, I'll do you a favor. I owe you that. I went in, sat down with him. He came back and said, like 3 weeks later, he says, William, I did some background checking on your dad. Someone had stolen all his military money out of the funds. I said, okay. He said the Army didn't give him authorization to, and your dad medically wasn't allowed to. So whoever did this, I don't know. You have to go into your family and find out who the thief is. I said, you want me to go find out? He said, yeah, we'd like to know. I said, okay, I'll do it. I took upon the mission. I went in, and just one day before this mission, I got into another serious fight with Marcia. She's threatening me again. My husband's an ex-Marine. He's right over there. If you don't leave, you're going to get shot. Yada, yada, yada. I come to realize that the shop that they bought, the home that they, brand new home they bought, was bought with this stolen money. You understand? I was pissed. It is not James Theodore Plank's job or his son's job to give Marcia a life. It was Curtis Rice's marital vows and job to do so. Not our job. This girl has been sitting here feeding and living off from my future for my children's children. Do you understand? That's criminal. It was Curtis's family's job to provide for Marcia, not ours. Period. And this cursed greed is so terrible. This female is convinced that she is entitled to ownership of my dad and that property. Now, I went down and questioned Staff Sergeant Ernest again, and I went back up there the following day, and this is when he told me to go forth and interrogate him. I said, all right, I will. So I attempted my best. I didn't really know what kind of mind my dad was because I wasn't allowed to be around him at all for 16 years. Do you understand? My grandfather was a dangerous man. He'd have killed any of you. And so, in child psychology, do the opposite. I've never been rude to my dad. I've never been mean to my dad. And I tried to address my father as a vicious soldier would, thinking he would get upset and cough up to me what's going on. I figured he was under gunfire or a gun threat, which I do believe he is held hostage, and I do believe he's under blackmail. At a level, he may have even slept with his sister Marcia, and she's got him under rape threats. I don't know. All I do know is this is some evil shit. Now, I took criminal justice under Tim Quinlan, and this better not be Tim Quinlan underneath all this, because he's best friends with my uncle, and this crap is occultic, and it's not ordered by the Pope, and it's definitely not righteous. So, as we go on, next thing you know, my grandfather dies. As soon as he dies, somebody goes up there and destroys all the riding lawnmowers, everything. My dad summons me to his house again. This time I'm not afraid to go there because my grandfather's died. I said, Dad, how come your lawn's not cut? He says, well, somebody busted everything. I said, where's the other mower? He had two lawnmowers, two riders. One was on the right in front of us in the driveway, and the other one was missing. I wanted to know where it went. He said, it's up on the hill. It's broke. I said, it is. I drove myself, my sister, Brianna Sweet, who's a witness, and Scott Costley, who may have been the one who did this out of anger, the renter. We all rode up in my truck up to the top of that hill, and when we got there, let me backtrack here, Scott was up there with his kids swimming, and I drove up there with my sister and my kids, and I parked my truck next to that mower and got out, and Scott walked over to it, and we tried to measure it to the back of my truck, and it was too large to put in. I only had a little Ford Ranger, we couldn't fit it in my truck. I said, Scott, what's wrong with it? Scott's an elite mechanic. And that's why it makes it so suspicious, because he is so trained. He's a world pro mechanic. He started naming off things that were broke and things that were needed to be replaced. And I said, okay. I said, well, I can't take it down off the hill. I was going to bring the mower down and park it next to the other one. I couldn't do so. So I left it there and drove back down the hill. Then I went to James Street Park, where there is a police report in Hornell Police Department. I met my older brother there, who was there already, and I said, James, I have to ask you a question. Did you destroy Dad's mowers and stuff on the hill in the night? He got mad and poked me really hard in my face and says, how dare you accuse me of such shit? I said, listen, first of all, now I know my older brother and he would never react in such a way, but he just exploded, which makes it suspicious. I said, dude, don't you dare poke me again. I am a security officer chaplain doing my duty, and I'm asking you an honest police question of our security question. So I told him, I said, do not poke me again or you're going to jail. So obviously he went to attempt to poke me again because he wanted to call my bluff, and the Hornell Police Department surrounded both of us. I explained to them what was going on, and they asked me if I wanted to press charges then. And I said, no, I don't. I said, I'm only looking for information, and I explained to them that a criminal thing has happened up on my dad's, and I'm trying to locate what's going on. Now, I'm in college, and I live way over in Wellsville. Can't keep track of everything that's going on over there, and I was never allowed to under gun threat. Okay? Now, picture this man, Curtis Rice, ex-Marine, elitely trained in riflery. Believe me, check his records. He's got a felony he's committed with stolen money, and you want me to just go over there and dance on his... he's only 700 yards from my dad. You think he can't hit me with one shot? Let me tell you something. Do you know Curtis Rice? Let me tell you what, there ain't a single one of you that would outmaneuver his bullet. Believe me. Anyway, what's my point? My point is, then the following day I started to go and make dinners for my father, because I just felt, I'm a chef, I'm a certified and licensed and educated chef, a world chef. I wanted my dad to eat something great. I made him pork ribs and mashed potatoes, and I was cooking for him, and Marcia kept coming over, and she wouldn't say nothing, she's just listening. I just figured, okay, well, you know, she would come in, look around, and leave. Wouldn't say nothing. I was nervous, but, you know, I'm like, oh, I die. But, I was trying to find out. I figured, well, sooner or later, they're going to tell me what's going on. Next thing you know, a woman is sitting on a couch. Her name is Nancy Baker. Now, Nancy Baker is the sister of a gentleman that in 2010 was seen when my dad's military vault of money, of the stolen money coming out of the America Bank in Canasteel, the People's Bank. I swung my truck over with my son Isaiah, who's 14, who is a living witness and can testify on his own behalf. I tried to capture that red. He got running with my dad's vault, threw it in the van, and split. Couldn't get my hands on him, because, you know, he had no business being with him. And at that time my grandfather was alive, and I called my grandfather. My grandfather told me to keep my nose out of it, and he would handle it, and hung up on me. Well, duh. Obviously I assumed he would. I figured for sure Red would go to jail. Red was never found again. He's disappeared. He's still alive. He's around here, but he's ducking and weaving. So I walk in my house, and here's his sister giving sexual intercourse to my dad, who, this woman's got these nasty bandages on her legs and these ooze leaking out her legs, some kind of disease. It's got me freaking out in my head, and I'm like, ma'am, who are you and why are you here and what are you doing here? She goes, well, I'm Nancy Baker. I said, I figured you were. I've seen you with Red. Why are you here? Well, I'm just your dad's friend. I'm staying here with him. I said, okay, you giving my dad sexual intercourse. She goes, well, I don't think that's any of your business. I said, well, indeed it is. My father is under veterans care, and I am a chaplain, and I served under a Navy chief for a year in East Side Buffalo, bodyguarding him. I think I have the right, as a minister, when you're not married to my dad, you're living in sin, to address you. It's my job. Why are you here? And she really wouldn't say no too much after that. She changed the subject. So I said, well, I'll look into it. I'll figure it out. I said, you shouldn't be giving my dad sex unless you have a medical record that shows you don't have AIDS, because you obviously have something wrong with you. She says, yeah, I had some veins removed from my legs. Gentlemen, it didn't look like just veins, okay? There's some kind of disease going on here. And I don't appreciate this disrespect to this MP. So she assures me she's only living with my dad and she's only trying to help. 1 week later, they come to my home in Wellsville, pull in. She's got this huge diamond ring on, and she says, now you got to treat me with respect because I'm marrying your dad. I said, miss, listen, as a New York State chaplain, you are officially under my arrest. You're under my arrest for aiding and abetting a criminal bank robbery, which your brother was part of, which I haven't found, and I haven't seen any charges pressed. You're also under arrest for sexual misconduct on a handicapped man who has not yet shown me any medical papers that gives him the right, or you the right, to be giving this handicapped man sexual favors. You understand? In my eyes, it's prostitution. In the church's eyes, it is as well. And you're not marrying my dad until I get mental health paperwork that are official from somebody who is officially licensed and registered with the state of New York with education to do so, because I'm his son and that's my job. And I'm a true priest and I'm truly ordained, and I'm not going to allow you to steal half of my dad's wealth in a marriage covenant that was never allowed or ordained by God. Period. I went in here on your reported crime and I filed my charges. I was upset and I was typing fast. I do not believe in Peter Webb spelling, gentlemen. Before Peter Webb spelling, there was Queensberry spelling, which is you let the words flow. I do not honor Peter Webb spelling. It is a cult. For all you know, he could have been a pedophile. And if you're going to submit to that, then you're going to submit to his pedophilia curse. I'm just showing you. Anyway. So, now, after hearing all that, when I arrested her, Marcia and these women went down and filed charges. That's illegal. You understand me? She's aiding and abetting, and she was already wanted for a felony. Do you understand me? She's committed a felony. In New York State Judicial Penal Law, Article 3540 states that anyone can make a citizen's arrest. When a felony has been committed, you can use or say or do whatever it takes to bring them to justice. Their sons were viciously threatening to shoot me, kill me after I filed those charges, because I called up back then and told them their random rights over the phone and told them they were under arrest. When I did that, they flipped. Said I was dead. They came here in the middle of the night, messed with my freaking brakes calipers, took my bolts out. They tampered with my vehicle, bent my brake lines. A gentleman, which looked like Curtis from the back, was driving a red car, which he could have easily borrowed, tried to run me down when I was coming across the street here in Wellsville, tried to run me over. I'll take a lie detector. I had to literally dive and roll on the ground to get out of its way. Now, I want Curtis Rice and Marcia under arrest. You men of New York have sat here holding me illegally. You allowed her to go into the courthouse and arrest me for harassment, which is bullshit. This chick's a felon. You're looking at her outward appearance and you're not realizing she's a cunning little crafty thief. And her older sister, Charlene, doesn't like me because she was dating a black man, and my grandfather banished her. She was not accepted after that. I don't care what she thinks. He smacked his fist on the tables and said, no African man is breeding into my bloodline. My grandfather came out of the Amish, gentlemen. The Amish don't allow it. It's forbidden. Think what you want. This black man argued with me, he argued with all my family, but my uncles went and scared him off. Had nothing to do with me. He had no business going in, and look what I'm dealing. I got my mother. I got a black man holding my mother hostage, stealing her loot, stealing her money. Think I'm happy about it? I'm not. Am I racist? Yes, I am. I respect black people. God bless you. I think there's beautiful black people, but I am very against interracial breeding. And it's them, because the African people were born out of Ishmael, which is a bastard race of Abraham. And I don't want to be bred into a bastard race. I am German. Do you understand? Whew. Anyway, just trying to make you guys understand something here. Quit insulting my intellect, quit insulting my stature, and holy God Almighty, quit insulting the truth and justice. You men were supposed to honor God in truth and justice. You're trying to bend the law for your own agenda. It's not going to happen. Christ will put you in the lake of fire. You will never, when you die and you want to get into heaven, you ain't going to get into heaven. I'm a prophet office monk of the St. Benedicts who swore into the Teutonic Order of Hitler, who swore into the Jesuits. My oaths are unchangeable. Understand? You better really think hard on what you're doing here, gentlemen. I don't like the fact that everywhere I walk, you're trying to put me in a personal prison when I'm a free man, and you're trying to put some freaking cockamamie, occultic, make-up lie upon me, and you think you're in the right. I could easily, without a doubt, bring a war to your door like you've never had one. I'm telling you what, all of Asia will fight for me, and so will all of Germany, and my wife is a Queen of France. She is Robert Hughes, King of France's 12th generational niece. All of France will come down in here. Do you understand? I will prove to you them what you're doing, and your Marines, I don't care how tough you think you are, you're going to get creamed. Now, that's definitely not what I want to do, because this is my native land that you men are on. You understand? Why should my sacred property, which I'm the true ordained landlord of Jesus, a Hebrew native Indian, why should I destroy my property because you asswipes don't know what you're doing and you're not obeying nobody? Do you get it? Talk about blackmail. We're going to do what we want. We'll do anything we want. No, you won't do anything you want. Do you understand? Sooner or later, all the countries are going to get sick and tired of you. I can do whatever I want, and they're going to wipe you right off the freaking earth.